If it's not your aim to polarize, why did you publish the Danish cartoons of the Prophet Muhammad on your website?
Well, the whole issue of the Danish cartoons showed me and angered me that Europe is weak and that Europe is full of cowards. The Danish people and colleagues of yours, journalists, were threatened. Their flag and embassies and consulates were burned. Ambassadors from Islamic countries came to the Danish Prime Minister.
We know all that. No, we know all that. My question to you is why you, as a Dutchman, chose to put them on your website when you tell me you don't want to polarize opinion and create new rifts inside your own society.
Because everything what I just said happened in Europe. The Danish were threatened and everything I said, and Europe was silent. Europe was weak. Europe was thinking, oh, come on, this is not my cup of tea. If I say something, perhaps it might happen to my country as well. We did nothing. We were silent, and it angered me. I thought I want to have some solidarity with the Danish, and I want to put a very strong signal that I adhere to the most principle and most important right, at least to the Dutch constitution, which is the freedom of expression. And I was so angered by this cowardness of Europe. We only saw also my own foreign minister, Mr. Bot, but also Mr. Solana, the one in charge from Europe when it comes to foreign affairs, went to Saudi Arabia, a country that doesn't even know how to spell the word democracy, let alone the freedom of speech, and explained and excused, and this is something that I cannot stand.
Well, isn't the truth, Geert Wilders, that you and your political movement only thrive when there is high tension, high anger between the Muslim and immigrant community and what you would call the native Dutch community? That is when your party does well. In the opinion polls, your ratings go right down in periods of calm. You need to be provocative.
No, if you look at the polls yesterday, I'm approximately 5% of the vote, and 15% of the Dutch electorate is considering voting for me in the elections last year. This figure of 5 and 15 is already steady for the...
You've gone down 10%, haven't you? Your opinion poll ratings are going right down.
I have now 5% of the vote, and the poll of yesterday says 15% of the people are considering to vote for me. And my program, of course, is not only about Islam, it's also about a smaller government, lower taxes, better education, whatever. But I'm not ashamed to tell you, whatever your questions might be, that the fact that we have a problem with the pure and radical Islam, and that we have to face up to this problem, and that the solutions therefore are not always neat and nice, is something that I stand up for, and something that a lot of people in my country find also sympathy for, because they know and they feel that the sense of urgency that is needed to live together in a country, but with strong rules about what is acceptable and what is not acceptable, is not done by the current government today. I'm proud.
Well, we've talked a lot about your attitude to Islam and to Muslims living in your midst. But let's broaden it out and let's be very blunt. Are you saying, for example, the fact that Amsterdam, Rotterdam, The Hague are very soon, if not now, going to be majority non-white cities is not acceptable for the Netherlands?
Of course it's not acceptable. You ask me the question as if it's some kind of surprise what my answer would be.
But it's reality. It is the fact. And if you're saying it's not acceptable, you're either going to have to move all these people out, or you are going to have to leave your own country.
Unfortunately, in the two major cities of my country, Amsterdam and Rotterdam, if you look at the people under the age of 21, the majority is already from non-Western countries. And those are not people like here in the United Kingdom, people who come from your former colonies or from the West Indies and more or less share some kind of culture, feel British. In Holland it's not the case. 90% of them come from countries like Morocco and Turkey with a totally different culture, a different background and a lack of education, often go to crime. I don't invent it, those are the formal statistics. And I feel that it's unacceptable. I wouldn't want to live in a country as the Netherlands, where the majority of the country, let alone of a certain city, would be Islamic. That doesn't mean that I hate Islam. This is ridiculous. But I believe that we should be proud in the Netherlands.
You chose to say Islamic. You could have just said non-white. You are a racist, aren't you?
No, I'm not at all. How dare you say that? I mean, I'm talking about non-Western immigrants, but to be honest, if you look at the figures, 90% of the non-Western immigrants in the Netherlands, and this is different from the United Kingdom, are from Islamic countries. So it's almost the same group. I didn't invent it, it's the case. And in order to live together with the different cultures in a normal and sophisticated and tolerant way, we have to learn to defend who we are, and we have to learn to be tough on the against the intolerant people.
You see, I thought who you were, who the Dutch were people who believed in democracy, believed in tolerance. You have an example on Europe's doorstep of a country that is both Muslim and democratic. That is Turkey. Many Europeans, including almost all European leaders, now want to see Turkey inside the European Union. Negotiations have already begun. Why is that not the signal to send, a way of drawing moderate democratic Islam into Europe?
If Turkey would become a member of the European Union, I believe that Holland should leave the European Union. So exactly the opposite that you're advocating, I am advocating. I believe that once again Europe is also a sharing of values. And I believe Turkey is a very nice country with very nice people. And I want to have very good relations with Turkey. Like the German now Chancellor Angela Merkel said, we should have a preferential relationship with Turkey.
Well, you can dress it up any way you like.
A good neighbor is not the same as a member of the family.
Your philosophy smacks of insecurity, of fear, of looking backwards, not forwards. And surely Europe now needs to look forward. It needs, apart from nothing else, it needs a demographic boost.
Yes. And to look forward, it should be strong, it should be confident, and it should know who we are. And if we don't face up to the problems that the multicultural societies in Europe, I'm not talking for my own country, the Netherlands, really has every day again, I believe we will not become stronger, but we become weaker. And if you want to be open for people to come to our countries, also from other cultures, we should first solve the enormous problem we have in our country with people from non-Western countries. They are 3-4 times more dependent on social security, on the statistics of crime.
Playing on people's fears, that is what you do.
Those are facts, those are figures. Come and look. Don't be so ignorant. Come and look to the facts. This is there. And if we try to solve it, and I try really to solve it, then perhaps we get back to a country where we can again become tolerant to everybody. Today, this would be suicide.
Geert Wilders, thank you very much for being on HARDtalk.